where we're gonna do a recording on Anchor. What is up, everybody? This is your boy AJ Trip, and we are live on YouTube, but we are recording this also for the podcast. Anchor. This is the game recording to me. This is my NBA preview special. We're gonna do the preview and the predictions. We're gonna try to get this done within the half hour needed for the podcast. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into it. We're gonna basically go in order of teams. We're gonna try to get all 30 teams involved, and then at the end, I'm gonna give you my final two for the finals and for the final two for the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, and then the final two for the finals, and then my winner. So if we're going in order, let's start with the Atlanta Hawks, shall we? So we know what we get. We've got Trae Young, obviously what they did, and then they had some great. They drafted great talent. It's DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and Bruno Fernando. They got away some other people too. They traded Kent Bazemore for Evan Turner. They took a flyer on Jabari Parker. So they did a lot of things. They brought back Vince Carter, and they also got Chandler Parsons. So they went ahead and they've got some veterans to go along with their young guys. Um, I think this is going to be another stepping stone year for Atlanta. I don't think that they're going to make any big waves, but they should be better than next year, especially with the emergence of Trae Young. I think that without question is should be said. I think Trae Young is going to take a next step in his level as well. And I think you can maybe see him, be one of those guys that could lead the league, and not only he could do what only Tiny Archibald did, lead the league in scoring and assists. So I'm expecting big things from Trae Young this year. Next, we got the Boston Celtics. We know they lost Kyrie Irving. He went to Brooklyn. They traded Terry Rozier for Kemba Walker, so they traded them. They lost Al Horford as well, but they got Aaron Baines and Enes Kanter, and they made some draft day deals and games with Romeo Langford, Carson Edwards, and Grant Williams. But really, this is all about, I think, um, the, the the three wings: Tatum, Horford, and Brown. Can these guys step up now that Kyrie's gone? Can these guys step their game up and become the stars that we knew Gordon Hayward was before his freak injury, and the stars that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum looked like a couple years ago when Kyrie was hurt? So this is all going to be about them. I think, and then adding Kemba Walker, maybe a more true type of point guard than Kyrie Irving is, I think could help them out as well. So I'm still expecting big things from Boston, but we never know what's going to happen. So, but to me, they're one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference without question. So it's going to be good to see how they stack up in the East. Next is the Brooklyn Nets. Apologize here as I've been having real troubles with the fucking Google Chrome for some reason wants to like stop and everything like that. So I don't know. But we know about the Brooklyn Nets, right? They're big three: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan. They all came there in the offseason, right? And they had some talent already there. Now they lost D'Angelo Russell, who went to Golden State, and Jared Dudley also left as well. But they still have guys like Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, who were big players in their run last year to the playoffs. But I really think when it comes down to the Brooklyn Nets, with Kevin Durant, who should be out the whole season, he shouldn't try to come back. This is going to be about Kyrie Irving and what Kyrie Irving can do to help that team. Will he be a better situation, better fit than D'Angelo Russell? That's wait and see. I'm expecting the Brooklyn Nets to make the playoffs again, but I'm not really sure if they have any chance of going any farther than the second round. And that's to be very very honest. And so we'll see when it comes down to it. But it's really going to be all about Kyrie Irving. Will he be an asset or a detractor this season? Because we all think that he was a detractor last year for the Boston Celtics. The Charlotte Hornets. I just mentioned they lost Kemba Walker, but they gained Terry Rozier. They also lost Jeremy Lamb. He went to the Indiana Pacers, but they still have guys like Marvin Williams and Miles Bridges and many other myriad of players when it comes to the Hornets. Now, I just don't think the Hornets are going to be that good. I just don't. Um, I don't expect them to vie for a spot. I expect them to be fighting for the number one uh, draft pick, really. That's just me. That's just my opinion. But um, I do think that they have nice building blocks. And I think what they really need is they need to get their next big star. And maybe who knows? Maybe Miles Bridges becomes the next star. We never know, but I think right now Charlotte is just they're in a holding place right now, and I think that when it comes to everything that goes down with that, right? When it comes to everything that goes down with that, I think that that's going to be the place for Charlotte is the lower tier of the NBA, and that's a shame because I'm a Mike fan. Michael Jordan. That obviously being from Chicago. Mike's my guy, the greatest of all time. So it's unfortunately that he is having troubles in Charlotte right about now. And speaking of Chicago, what about my Bulls? Right? What about my Bulls? Um, they've got some good pieces. Kobe White, who they drafted. Um, they've got Zach Levine, who could be an all-star. Otto Porter Jr. is a good wing, great three-point shooter, 3-and-D guy. Um, the front court of Laurie Markkinen, who keeps putting on weight, he keeps getting bigger in the weight room, and also Wendell Carter Jr., who needs to stay healthy. They added some good free agents in Thaddeus Young and Thomas Satoransky. Um, So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with my Bulls. If they make the playoffs, it's going to be as an 8 seed. I do. I think it's going to be as an 8 seed. I don't, but it really depends on two people. It depends on Zach Levine taking that next step. I think Zach Levine's got two steps. I think he's got a step to being an all star, which that could happen, and he has a step to becoming a superstar. I really do. I think he has that level of talent, but it all depends on what he wants. And then I think Laurie Markkinen at at 6'11", 7 feet tall, power forward, can shoot the three. He's got steps to take too. Now he can be an all star, superstar as well, but he's got to get to that. First of all, he's got to stay healthy. That's the first thing. He's got to stay healthy, and second of all, he's got to take another step as well. Before he can take. Now, if he skips one step and goes right to All Star, fine, that's great. They're going to make the playoffs, but I think it all depends on Levine and Markkinen. Levine taking that step to All Star, and then Markkinen taking that next step to whether it's to that next level right before All Star or to the All Star level himself. So I think that's where my Bulls are headed right now. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Listen, all those of you who are Cleveland Cavaliers fans, they've got a lot of young talent. They really do. Um, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Dylan Wilder, Kevin Porter Jr. A lot of talent. They've got mainstays of of Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, and they required Matthew Dellavedova. Also, they've got Jordan Garland and Jordan Clarkson, excuse me, that's Darius Garland, I apologize, and Larry Nance Jr. So they've got young talent. I just don't think they're going to put it together. I really don't. I just don't think they can put it together. Now, if they were somehow to do so, fine. That's good. That's great for them. But I think this is another team. They're like the Charlotte Hornets, who are going to be vying for that number one slot again. And but listen, Cleveland Cavaliers, they got their championship. They got their championship. So I really think the Cavs fans should be more worried about the Browns than the Cavaliers at this point. I really do. That's just my opinion. Um, but yeah, I expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to be more on the bad side than the good side, if you get my drift. So the Dallas Mavericks, right? Obviously, they lost Dirk Nowitzki to retirement, but they've got their upcoming star in Luka Doncic, and then last year, don't forget, they traded for the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis. So they still have their young core players of Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, and Dorian Finney-Smith. They get some, and they added quality role players in Dion Wright, Seth Curry, and Boban Marjanovic. So all this depends on whether Luka. I think Luka's at the All-Star level. He just didn't make it last year. So now will Luka take another step and become a superstar in his second year? And with Kristaps return to prominence after coming off the ACL, taking a whole year off during the Derrick Rose protocol, taking a whole year off and coming back from the ACL. So we will have to wait and see. This could be a surprise team that makes the playoffs. This really could be. So I would expect Dallas to be very competitive and like I said, fight for a playoff spot. We'll have to see what happens with the returning Kristaps Porzingis. Does he get better? Does he become more, or does he stay? Um, or does even though he took that year off, does he stay in that spot where you have to have that whole 1 year coming off the ACL before you get back into full form? That's going to be something that we'll have to wait and see with Dallas. But I think they're definitely on the come. They are definitely on the come. The Denver Nuggets. Now the Denver Nuggets, they went they went head to head with the Portland Trailblazers last year, and they could have won that series, that 7 game series. They could have won that series, and I think they obviously they lost to Portland, but I think the missing piece could be Michael Porter Jr., and I think that's what everybody forgot. That last year they did not have Michael Porter Jr. He set out again all last year with his back problems, right? But he should be ready to go this year. Um, so you're talking about Paul Millsap, the Joker, Nikola Djokovic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. all coming together. If they stay healthy and they all coming together, we're not just talking about a contender in the West. We're talking about a contender in the NBA. This I think this is my sleeper team right here, the Denver Nuggets. I expect big things from the Denver Nuggets this year. And don't forget, they have one of the best home court advantages in the game with them with that high altitude in Denver. And they're running up and down the court. This could be a fantastic year for the Denver Nuggets. The Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball. That's what they do in Detroit, right? So we know that they have Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin, right, as their two big stars. Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard are also very good players as well. They signed Derrick Rose and Markieff Morris for their big signings. They signed some other players as well. Um, but this is going to be about the two big guys, Griffin and Drummond. I think they're going to have to go old school with them. Get down the blocks and score 50 points a game between the two of them. And I think they can do that. I really do think they can do that. And then, sure, they can stretch the floor. Blake can't. We saw in the preseason Andre Drummond tried a three. He almost broke the basketball. He almost broke the backboard. But get down and play, play bully ball. Down the court. They can do that. So I, I think Detroit could make the playoffs. I really do. I think they could make the playoffs, but I think again it's lower seed. I think there's just lower seed. They're not going to contend with guys like Philly and Boston and Milwaukee and other ones for as serious contenders. I just don't think so. But I think I totally think they can make the playoffs. But it's like all teams actually, but particular Detroit is going to be about health. Can they stay healthy? Next is the Golden State Warriors. So they traded their veteran Andre Iguodala. They lost Sean Livingston. They acquired D'Angelo Russell, and they lost obviously Kevin Durant. What's his face? Klay Thompson. He tore his ACL in Game 6, so he'll be out for most of the season. But I still think with that coach, with Steve Kerr as a coach and Stephen Curry, and they got D'Angelo Russell, um, I think they can do some other things as well. Um, they signed former first round draft pick Billy Cauley Stein from the Sacramento Kings. So they could they could try to revamp him, and they still have Draymond Green, one of the best defenders in the league. So we'll have to see. Nobody's expecting them to make the finals again for a sixth consecutive year, um, but I would not be surprised if that happens, especially if Klay Thompson does come back and he plays in the playoffs. Game 6 Klay, we know that, right? We know that's him. Game 6 Klay. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm expecting the Warriors to obviously make the playoffs. I expect them to be a middle seed, 4 or 5, maybe as get as high as third seed. So, but the Warriors have nothing to do. You know, they should not see anything. I know they see anything less than a six consecutive uh, finals appearance as less than, but that really shouldn't be. They really should be okay with anything that that comes their way because they are in a I get. Can you rebuild? I guess you can. So but that's just where they're at right now. I guess they're I don't know. Well, maybe they're not. They're in the reloading spot. So that's where they're at. Next is the Houston Rockets. We know what Houston does. Houston gets everything. They traded Chris Paul. They got Russell Westbrook. Um, so we're gonna see how Harden and Westbrook back together, how they play. They like to do threes, everything like that. James Harden still working on tricking the league with everything that he does. So it's going to be all about what this is. It's all going to be about how Russell Westbrook and the Houston Rockets play. I don't know what can happen with them. I really don't. So I don't expect anything big from them. I don't really expect anything special from them. But we will just have to wait and see what comes to them. So I kind of think that it will just be the same thing for the Houston Rockets. Make the playoffs, maybe make a conference finals appearance, but nothing more and nothing less. The Indiana Pacers made some good moves. They get Malcolm Brogdon from Milwaukee. Um, We mentioned Jeremy Lamb earlier. They got them Charlotte, and they also get T.J. McConnell, T.J. Warren, and Justin Holiday. They did lose Bogdan Bogdanovic um, to the Utah Jazz, but and they're going to get back Oladipo, who's going to come back. And that's the biggest pickup. Victor Oladipo is going to come back, and that's a major star that they really need. So we're going to see what happens with Indiana. Indiana Pacers are uh, a Eastern Championship contender in their league. There's no question about that. But it all depends on how everybody works together and how they gel. Um, he'll be Malcolm Brogdon will be a full time point guard, so that's good. He doesn't have to play the dual role, even though he's tall enough to do so. But it's all going to be about Oladipo and how he comes back from his injury from last year. Should be fantastic time in Indiana. I'm running short on time, so we're probably just gonna do some of the big ones coming here. So there's like the Clippers. We know the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. They were a playoff team last year. Um, um, they've got some of the other teams as well. So really, we're looking at the Clippers as a contender and a big time contender for the championship. Um, they should have really, really fun times in LA because not only the Clippers going to be special, but then we got the Lakers. We know the Lakers. We've got LeBron James. We've got Antonio Davis. We've got JaVale McGee. We've got a lot of other players around as well. So Clippers and the Lakers are title contenders, and they are just most two of the big teams down in the Western Conference. So that's going to be interesting. Milwaukee Bucks in the East. They obviously we just talked about Malcolm Brogdon. He went to Philly. They signed the other Lopez brother, Robinson. Now we got Brooke and Robin together, um, and we still get Chris Middleton. But really, it's all about Giannis. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Will he maintain his MVP level? Will he get a higher shot? Will he get to the mid range level? Maybe even make 3-pointer. So it's going to be about that. Can they repeat as the top seed in the East? That's something to look forward to. How about New Orleans? New Orleans could be a surprise team in the West with the pieces they get from the Lakers, Ingram and Ball and Josh was it Josh? I don't know if it's Josh Hart, but they got some other players. But of course, the big one is Zion Williamson. He's injured. He's going to be out the first 6 to 8 weeks. He had knee surgery, but I expect Zion to come back and still win the Rookie of the Year. I think that's almost a no-brainer. The only way he's not going to win is if he stays out injured. He continues to be injured. Philadelphia. You lost Jimmy Butler. He went to Miami. But they signed Al Horford. They got Tobias Harris. Of course, Joel Embiid. And talking about shooting threes, how about Ben Simmons shot a three in preseason? But he hadn't taken a three in over a year. And made a three in over 2 years, I think. So, or actually, he hadn't made a three in his NBA career. So that's gonna be something to see about. If Ben Simmons can get a jump shot, that can be Philadelphia can go very, very far. They are a title contender in the East and an NBA title contender as well. Portland, Portland coming back after getting swept in the finals by the Warriors. Um, they didn't have their big guy, Nurkic. They didn't have Nurkic, but now they have Nurkic, and now they have some other players too. One of the guys from North Carolina fell to them in the draft. So even though they traded Evan Turner, they got some really big players, and this could be a fantastic season for Portland. They are a title contender as well. Um, the Toronto Raptors, the NBA, the retaining NBA champions. They lost their big dude, Kawhi Leonard. Who knows what they're going to be this year? I don't know, but I would expect them to possibly make the playoffs, but they're not in it to win it. They're not going to go back to back unless they make another big trade. And finally, the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, I think, are maybe the second sleeper behind Denver. They've got Donovan Mitchell. They, like I said, they got Bogdan Bogdanovic. They've done a lot of things in the offseason. They could take a big step with it with so much seemingly parity in the Western Conference. They're gonna beat up on each other in there, and I think Utah could take advantage of that. And if there's one or two big injuries to like some of the big players, you can see Utah make it into the conference finals, and then when you get in the conference finals, who knows what happens? So, like I said, I jumped some teams because I wanted to make sure I get this under 30 minutes. Now we're going to talk about my predictions for the conference finals and then the finals. So in the West, I'm going with Denver and the Clippers. Denver and the Clippers will be in the finals in the West. In the Eastern Finals, I'm going with Philly and Boston. I'm going with them two. I'm going to have Philly come out of the East. I'm going to have the Clippers come out of the West, and then I'm going to have the Clippers beat the Sixers 4-2 with Kawhi Leonard winning his third MVP and going back to back, winning it with two teams. Um, would he be the second or the third to do it? Because we know LeBron did it with Cleveland and Miami. Did anybody else do it? Uh, I don't know. Maybe I don't think so. They might have. Who knows? But we know. So we know LeBron. We know LeBron did it. Um, so Kawhi would do it. So um, that's who I have. Who I'm having as my MVP. I'm gonna say is going to be the Joker. If Denver doing big things, I'm gonna say the Joker. Rookie of the year, I've already said it. I'm having it as the big guy, Zion Williamson. Um, Coach of the year, I'm gonna go Mike Malone in Denver since I get Denver doing big things. And yeah, so that's just mainly it. Um, so I really just think that's just is it. I wanted to kind of do this as tonight starts. It's on NBA TNT. They've got like a 2.5 hour pregame show, which is something I can't wait to watch. I really can't. Starting at 4:30 here in Chicago time. I can't wait to watch that. But yeah, this is gonna be a good year for the NBA. I think because it's open. For the last 5 years, we knew that it was. We knew like 5 years it was Cleveland and the Warriors, and they went four straight. And then of course we had the Warriors last year, but now with the injuries, with Kevin Durant going to Brooklyn and the injury to Klay Thompson, we don't know about the Warriors. They still could make it, possibly. I doubt it. I think there's like a 5-6% chance of that happening. But they still could make it going 6 straight years, and that would be something incredible. Like I said, with that coach and Stephen Curry, you never know. And if Klay Thompson comes back, Game 6 Klay, like we said before. But the West is wide open and the East is wide open. This should be a fun year in the National Basketball Association. So for those watching on YouTube, post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Who do you have winning the championship and all of your awards? Give me all of those. Those listening on the podcast, again, hit me up on the social medias. Links for both YouTube and the podcast are down in the description below. If you want to support me in any way, but at 99 cents, uh, 4.99 or 9.99, you can do that. Link is down in the description below. Please, any amount would do. I appreciate anything that you do. Share these videos and these podcasts, like them, do whatever you want with them. Just take care of yourself, y'all. So this is your boy AJ Trip signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. and I am out.